Hello creative friends, welcome to another art supply presentation, and today I'm answering the question that I think I have received the most. What art journal do you use, Miranda? And the answer is, well, that depends. Let's start with the one I use the most and I have used mainly recently. It's a very simple black A4 sketchbook. I ordered it off Amazon. It is from the brand Artway, and it's a studio sketchbook. I think it has 170 gram paper, so it's not too thick, but it's also not too thin. What I like about it is that, you know, my pages tend to be very thick, and it doesn't really bulge too much, so there's not too many pages in there. So when it's like this one, it's almost full, but it doesn't, you know, bulge too much. It doesn't become too fat, so it doesn't close anymore. So Artway Studio 170 gram paper A5 sketchbook. They come in different sizes. This is one that is a smaller one, like a square one, which is an art journal I use when I work on a certain project. Like this one is the Wanderlust class from last year, and it's also from Artway, and it's just a different size. So this one isn't full, but similarly it holds a lot of medium, doesn't bulge too much. It's just a different size than the one before. For Wanderlust, another journal that I used in 2024 is the Ranger, and this is also a square one. What I like about this is that it closes with a band like this, and it has a little pocket in the front, and then you can just basically fill it with all sorts of juicy art journaling stuff. This one has thicker paper and like smooth paper, so it's a different kind of paper, but I do like it. They're a bit more expensive. The advantage of the Artway ones is that they really don't cost a lot of things, so the advantage of this is that I don't mind messing it up because it doesn't cost a thing. These Ranger ones are a little bit more expensive. Another one that's not very expensive, but it doesn't, so this is a Canson, also I think off Amazon. It has a lot more pages, so when it's full, as you can see, it bulges a little bit, so it's a bit thicker, so it doesn't really close. I don't mind, but the paper is similar to the Artway one. Not too thick, not too thin. I think this one's even thinner than the one on Artway. But yeah, you can just fill it with a lot of art journaling, collaging, you know, just fill it with whatever is going on the day that you create a page. This one here is, I think, sort of, I recuperated it from a thrift store, like a used bookstore or a recycling center, and it's just one of those like photo album-y kind of books. It had a lot of pages, so it, like, as you can see, it really went all the way around, and it's very thick. The paper wasn't very thick, but I used for some pages a lot of medium and a lot of collage stuff, like even some, you know, thicker gesso and all that. And it held that very well, so I was pretty happy with this. So whatever you can basically find that, you know, fits your need or you like the color, that works. Another way to start an art journal is by using old books. So this is from the thrift store. It's like an old tiny little book, and then I basically use that. Sometimes I rip out a few pages or glue a few pages together when they're not thick enough, and then you just use that as, this is also for a project from Care December 25. And so these are perfect for these little projects where, you know, you're just gonna create a few things that are on a certain theme. That's an old book. This is also an old book where I've used the cover, but then I added one of those harmonica type pages to it, which I created myself. The good thing about those is that you can use both sides. And this was also used for a project called Art Journal Advent in 2022. So there are different ways of, art journaling. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can just take any notebook, any paper notebook. These are the ones that come sometimes with Flow magazine, and they are just a sort of thin notebook with lots of paper where you can already write, or you can just rip out the pages, and I just use it to collage and paint. And I use these a lot to try out new things because they're just cheap and sometimes they fall apart, and I don't mind, but I use them a lot to try out things when I don't want to mess up my real journal. And so yeah, this is basically what I use. And I think the best art journal is actually the one that you use. Doesn't really matter which one it is as long as you use it. So whatever you can find, it doesn't really matter. After a while, when you practice, you learn, okay, I like this better, or thicker paper is better for me because I use a lot of stuff on it. And it's all just about playing and having fun. So I hope this helped you get a little bit of insight in what I use, and I hope you find what you want to play with and start with. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And until then, happy creating.